Hi Year 11, so I'm going to explain how to write the investigation task, which is your 600-word piece based around safe food handling. The first section you need to start with is an introduction. So this is only very brief. You don't go into detail here, you're simply providing definitions, for example, or explaining in a sentence or two these key dot points. So the first thing to cover is a few sentences explaining what safe food handling is. Okay, so safe food handling means or includes, and what food poisoning is as well. Okay. Secondly, it would be great to have some sort of a quote from a recent media article. You can use the two at the bottom of this document that we would have been through in class, or you may be able to find something of your own. Just choose a section of the article or a quote that really highlights why safe food handling is important for catering businesses, or perhaps what some of their negative results can be if they're not followed. As always, remember to in-text reference even in your introduction. Discussion. Now you get to go into a little bit more detail. So first of all, covering what are the causes of food poisoning. In class through a PowerPoint, we would have talked about FATTOM and the different letters and what they mean, time, for example, temperature. Okay, so you might refer to some of these things or some other research that you find, things that can cause food to go bad and therefore someone to get food poisoning. Secondly, the effects of food poisoning. So what happens to a person when they consume a food that has the harmful bacteria? What are the symptoms? Third, why safe food handling practices are essential in the commercial kitchen specifically. So not talking about cooking at home, we're now talking about in the commercial kitchen, which means for commercial use where you're cooking for other people, often on a large scale. So why in particular is it important in the commercial kitchen to follow these safe food handling methods? Again, remember to in-text reference. Now we go into some analysis. So we've basically set the scene and set the background. Now we want to give some primary examples. The dot points below are just a guide, and the analysis will become much more specific after the interview with the Faster Pasta floor manager and may change depending on what information they provide us on the excursion. So if they give information that doesn't fit under these headings but you would like to add it, please feel free to do so. If you find that one of these dot points is not covered in the excursion, feel free to exclude it also. Okay, firstly, here's some ideas. The sorts of foods that are prepared and sold from the Faster Pasta kitchen. Next, what requirements or procedures are relevant to the use of doggy bags, so takeaway containers, and why? We're hoping that they will provide us some information about that, because that's sort of more of a controversial issue and one that different food places have different rules on, so that can be quite interesting. Third, what processes are in place in the Faster Pasta kitchen to ensure safe ordering, storage of ingredients, preparation in the kitchen, and then selling and serving the food. So this can include everything from when they receive the stock to how they actually store it, what temperature, what type of packaging, the use by dates, the different preparation methods in the kitchen safety in general in terms of hygiene, environmental hygiene, different chopping boards, workspaces, chef or cook hygiene, and the serving as well, things they need to follow in order to serve it safely, perhaps the temperature or what their waiting staff have to wear or are expected in terms of personal hygiene. Something else you may like to refer to when you give examples of this is the dish or the foods that you ordered on the day. So I've got some examples here. So say you ordered a dish that would have had fresh pasta and therefore had eggs, and it had some sort of a creamy tomato sauce. You may choose to write some examples based on those foods. So you might talk about safe ordering of eggs and storage, how they should be stored, prepared, and then what temperature or how they should be served. Conclusion. Okay, this is optional because it really depends on if you have enough words left. If you don't, exclude it. If you have enough words, then write a brief summary of what you found, basically the importance of safe food handling in the commercial kitchen. Full reference list, okay? Make sure you read these 3 dot points. All right, they're going to give you some great tips, but referencing being a research task is essential, and it's very hard to pass without in-text referencing and a reference list. I hope that helps. Let me know if you have any questions.